Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We'll make a start now. So thank you for bearing with us there. We were just waiting for a few more of the registered participants to come online for today's webinar. But just before we do get started, just to point out that for those that have registered, if for whatever reason anybody has not been able to make it onto today's webinar, that this is being recorded so that it can then be sent out to all of those who have registered in the post-session comms. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our introduction to Compass Plus and Future Skills Questionnaire for Governors. It's great to have you along with us today. My name is Peter McKinney. I am a Compass Plus consultant for CEC, and I lead on our virtual delivery program. So the webinars, both the deep dives and the bite-sized ones, and also support with our face-to-face delivery. Joining me today, I've got Tamid, who is part of our customer service team. Tamid, would you like to just jump on and say hello?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tamid. I'm a part of the customer service team at CEC. If you guys have any questions regarding today's session, please do leave it in the Q&A down below, and I'd be happy to help. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Tamit. So yeah, just to point out there again that if as I'm going through the slide deck today and then also the demo account, the demonstration side of things, if you do have any questions or any queries, please feel free to put them in the Q&A in the group chat, and Tamit will work his way through them. Also, just to sort of caveat that with, keep an eye on that because I'm sure Tamit will be putting some links to different areas within Compass Plus and the Help Centre to support you as well. So just to go through some of the learning objectives for today. So what we would like you to be taking away from the next hour, of which there's quite a lot. It's quite a jam-packed session. So it should be hopefully really helpful and informative for yourselves. So we would like you to go away with a better understanding of Compass Plus itself and the key features, including FSQ or Future Skills Questionnaire. We want you to go away knowing how to support your careers leaders and other Compass Plus users within institutions to adopt and deliver whole institution approach to careers by engaging with Compass Plus as effectively as possible within their setting. So really endorsing and supporting the functionality and the use of Compass Plus within the particular institutions that you are linked with. We want you to understand how you can get support with encouraging wider adoption of Compass Plus within the institution. So it's not just about us saying we want you to do that. Hopefully today we are going to give you some indicators and some pathways as to how you can support with that within your institutions. And then the last section, then we leave this for all of our face-to-face and our webinars to support you with further training. So identifying where you can access that through the Help Center within Compass Plus and some of the other hyperlinks that will be on our training slides, but really showing you and identifying where you can go and get that support as well. Okay, so I will just turn my camera off so I can see the whole screen. Okay, so just a little bit of background here now for those that are new to role or are new to sort of identifying who we are as a company. So as a company, CEC or Careers Enterprise Company are a national body for careers education in England. So it's up and down the country. We deliver support to schools and colleges to deliver modern 21st century careers education. So the landscape of careers education, careers leadership changes so very often. And part of the role for CEC is to adapt to that, to then best support all of the schools and colleges in the country to be able to then change and adapt to that landscape as well, so they can then deliver the best careers provision and careers leadership within their institutions. Our mission, like it says there on the right hand side, is to help every young person find their best next step. Now, a lot of the different features and functionality of Compass Plus help support with that. So things like the Future Skills Questionnaire, which is that learner perception, that learner voice. So by having this facility within the product, it allows careers leaders that you support to get that authentic learner voice and be able to then really adapt and fine-tune their careers plans and their activities to meet the needs of all of the young people within their institution. So again, providing them with that best opportunity for their next step, their pathway, whatever that may be. Okay, again, so another one for if there are governors that are on the session today, if you are new to Compass Plus and understanding what Compass Plus is as a product, this is just a small overview for you. So Compass Plus itself, and it's a great part which is underlined, is it's a free digital product that enables the users to benchmark, track, and report on careers provision for each individual learner. So when we say users there, predominantly we're going to say careers leaders, but that could also be wider people, wider staff within your institution. So whether that be pastoral support, SENCOs, curriculum teachers, admin support, senior leaders, all of those users, how they can then use the products in whichever way, shape, or form they want to gather that data and information, and then produce visualizations, reports that can support conversations to drive careers forward within their institution. So there's lots of great information that Compass Plus can give back to the users. It's a data-driven product, so it's very much reliant on the data that's put in there. But in terms of the visualizations, the reporting functions that are embedded within Compass Plus, what it gives back to the users, it more than repays with the time and the effort that the careers lead, etc., has utilized putting that information into the product. So very much you'd certainly get out more than what you put in. So that is the product itself. It allows you to do lots of different things, and hopefully with your support as a governor, really pushing that forwards, holding relevant people to account in its usage and report generation. That is kind of what it can do, and what the one of the small parts that you can play. Okay, so really the why use Compass Plus here. So on the right-hand side there, we've got a lovely quote that we've used from one of our schools, which is it's around creating your institutional memory within Compass Plus. So avoiding that single point of failure where if only one person looks after careers within an institution, that if that person is off sick, if they leave and they take different measuring tools and sheets and forms and data with them, that things then grind to a halt. With Compass Plus and the ability to have multiple users within the product, it hopefully avoids that. And by having more users using the product, it can then start to do that, what's highlighted in yellow, that create an institutional memory. So really preparing for that longevity of careers within your institutions, and it allows you to do that. So having as many users on there and encouraging, and from your perspective as a governor, encouraging as many users as possible to be on that platform, really does create that institutional memory. On the left-hand side, we've got multiple reasons as to why Compass Plus is such a fabulous product. The two that are underlined there, on the left-hand side as well, I'll be demonstrating today within the second part of the session. But to just go through a couple of them, that very first one being strategic. So because of the data visualizations that Compass Plus provides to the careers lead or the users who are accessing them, it allows you to really focus in on the areas that you need to. So looking at data from things like the internal leadership review, looking at data from the future skills questionnaire, from the Compass evaluations, all of these different parts of the product will provide information on strengths and areas of development. So it allows careers lead, senior leadership team to really focus in on the areas that need focusing in on. So not then kind of duplicating information, or duplicating activities, etc., but being quite strategic in focusing attention on the areas that really need it. Looking at meeting the individual needs of our learners. So again, this comes down to the Future Skills Questionnaire. So Future Skills Questionnaire is a fabulous, fabulous tool that is embedded within Compass Plus, and it really does deliver and give the users that authentic learner voice. So not how the careers lead, not how the curriculum staff feel that the careers within your institution is planned and is being carried out, but more from what the learner actually feels. So you get that true, authentic learner voice as to what your learners perceive to be their knowledge and understanding of careers within your institution, and highlighting any gaps in that understanding and knowledge, and then doing something about it as well. So it really does allow the user to focus in on those learners that may be struggling in certain areas. And certainly as you move through towards the latter years of their time at school, those learners that may be at risk of becoming neat, and allowing the interventions to be made and support to be given to those particular learners. Evaluate, analyze, and plan. So I'll go through this one as well because it's underlined. So again, through all of those different areas I mentioned, the internal leadership review, the compass evaluations, and certainly the future skills questionnaire. As a careers lead and certainly a senior leadership team, you can look at that data and information, evaluate what it means to your institution, and then put plans in place. So certainly, and I'll show you within the internal leadership review, it can highlight areas of strength, but it also highlights areas for development. It helps then create action plans. And this is something, hopefully, as a governor, that you can get involved with as well. And then from those action plans, it's about how you can then, again, hold, for want of a better word, hold relevant members of staff, key members of staff to account in terms of achieving those actions plans. We've got other parts in there as well. There's lots around quality assurance. There are lots around GDPR, sorry, and compliance. So again, all users have logins, they have passwords, and so all of that data and information that is stored within Compass Plus, which is on a quantitative and qualitative basis, is all safe and secure as well. So lots of great reasons why Compass Plus is such a fabulous tool, and something that hopefully you can grow to understand within your institutions and then support your careers leads as well. Okay, so the compass evaluation itself. So compass evaluations are embedded in both CEC digital products, or Compass and Compass Plus. Compass being something that just colleges would use. And the users can quickly, like it says there, they can quickly evaluate their careers provision against the 8 Gatsby benchmarks. So from the data and information that they put into the product, Compass Plus and Compass then evaluates that and then scores on a progress percentage as to how your school or your institution is progressing against each one of these 8 different Gatsby benchmarks. So it allows you to look at the data in 2 ways. One is a visualization, which I will show you, and that can be quite helpful in the strategic planning, looking at the areas of development. And then we can go behind the scenes almost with that visualization and see where within specific benchmarks we need to improve and where we need to start to put things and interventions in place. So compass evaluations are done termly. So these should be done 3 times a year. And then the data and results are all stored within Compass Plus. And these can be printed out as a report. And I'll show you where that can be done. And it can be shared with people like yourself, with governors, SLT. It can be something that Ofsted may come and ask about as to how you are making progress. So lots of great ways that these compass evaluations can support a careers provision within your institutions. So just looking here, and I will just lightly touch on this. So these are for those people that are on the session that are not quite familiar with the Gatsby benchmarks. There's just been a 10-year review of the benchmarks. And the benchmarks were developed by Sir John Holman and the Gatsby Foundation. And they're pretty much, like it says there, they underpin and are at the heart of careers education in England. So there's 8 different elements to it, each one addressing different needs. And big focuses for schools would be benchmark 1, so having that stable careers program and meeting all of our statutory compliance and guidance. And then I'm going to say benchmark 3, which is addressing the needs of each pupil. Now, if as institutions and schools, if we really do focus in on 1 and 3, a lot of the other areas, a lot of the other benchmarks will fall into place. So these would be these are, I suppose, the benchmarks where we get the highest leverage from. So just a little bit of background there on what the 8 Gatsby benchmarks are and how important they are from a school's perspective, that they are then achieving all of these, or at least working towards achievement of them. Okay, so a new section within Compass Plus is this here. So the careers impact internal leadership review. So the internal leadership review is part of a new approach to driving impact across careers education. And the way that it does that is what it says on the right hand side there. It's around standardizing continuous improvement and quality assurance of careers across the system. So again, this is national. We want to get that standardized approach of what good quality careers and careers leadership looks like. And the internal leadership review, which hopefully as a governor you will be involved in. It's what it's designed to do. So it's a self-reflection from the school or the college, and it's to look at careers leadership and careers provision within those institutions, um, and taking on board opinions of all people involved in careers within particular settings. So this is the new sort of hot potato, for want of a better word, within careers and certainly within Compass Plus. So it's the internal leadership review, which forms part of the careers impact system. So this is what the careers impact system looks like. So this is the internal leadership review. Now, the aim for the careers impact system is to provide quality assurance of careers provision. Its aim is to improve careers provision across the country, and a further aim is to elevate the status of careers leadership. So some of you on the session today might be familiar with the careers impact system already. It has lots of different elements to it. So in this particular area here, and I will certainly demonstrate it, we would focus on the internal leadership review. So you can see that in that little blue circle that's been pointed to by the red arrow. And the internal leadership review is based on the impact is based on a impact maturity model. Now, the maturity model itself is essentially a series of statements which provides a shared language of how careers can be positioned as a driver for school and college improvement. So looking at the maturity model, of which there are then four sort of descriptors, four grading parts of criteria to sort of least mature to most mature, looking at that and then seeing how where we've scored or where the school has scored themselves on that maturity model, how it can then increase in terms of provision and careers. It's intended to be done internally as a reflection piece by the school, and the sort of the secondary part, and we're going to notice this on the right hand side there, where we've got it in the orange or the red circle, and this is a little bit further down the line, is where the schools and colleges will start to take part in peer-to-peer reviews. So you might hear hubs talk about these, but it's a bit further down the line, and it's a possible avenue for those that have already conducted the internal leadership review. But sort of for the purpose of today's session, we would just look, well, certainly when I'm in my demo account, at the internal leadership review. So this is very much, there are key figures that should be involved in this, and a governor could well be one of those. Okay, so the why should we carry out the internal leadership review? And this is something that all schools are encouraged to be getting involved with at the moment. So some of the reasons there, we've got them kind of top to bottom, are these five different elements. So the engaging leaders. So by carrying out the internal leadership review, it should unlock leaders' engagement and then support their wider understanding of careers through the process of reflection and discussion around strategic careers leadership. The mouthful, sorry. So really coming together. And as a result of the discussions that take place, it allows you then to look at careers leadership quite strategically, and then have relevant people in place to drive that forward. Celebrating success, and again, this possibly doesn't happen enough, and it's something that, again, as a governor, you could maybe say, it could maybe encourage, is the opportunity, because of the results that you get back from the internal leadership review. It gives you areas of strength. So these will be things within careers program, within careers leadership, that as a school are doing really well, and they should be celebrated. They should be um, delivered in a way that those involved in careers know how well things are going. It could be something that is put on websites or newsletters to just let people know the great work that's taking place. Not going to read them all. Embedding best practice will be another great one to look at there, and that is around knowing what good careers or great careers looks like and great careers leadership looks like, and having a maturity model in front of you to demonstrate that. It allows you to then really embed that best practice. So knowing the difference between maturity level 1 and maturity level 4 allows the schools, allows the institutions to see the steps that they need to take, and the difference in sort of maturity in each one of those stages. And what you tend to find is from stage 1 to stage 4, it's just that things are more embedded within a school, and careers leadership becomes that shared responsibility. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, everyone, I'm just going to jump into my demo account to run through some of the aspects of Compass Plus and where, as a governor, you can support careers leaders within your schools, within your institutions, to really start using the product and getting the most from it. So I will just jump into this. So when careers leaders access their Compass Plus account, this is what they will be presented with. So this is what we call our dashboard, our landing page. Now on the dashboard, we've got the navigation bar, which is down here on the left-hand side. And on the navigation bar are all of the different areas of Compass Plus that careers leaders or users of the product would need to access, from evaluations to activities to accessing learner data to accessing careers partners, so those businesses and employers that support those schools and institutions with careers. And then we've got our help center as well. I just want to quickly start with bringing our attention to this little plus button over here. And the reason I'm going to do this is that we would like you to encourage careers leaders to do is to get as many users onto the product itself, because having more users on there supports the careers leader in the generation of activities, the generation of reports, and it takes some of the load off the shoulders of careers leaders, so that rather than inputting activities and events, they can actually do the next step and they can analyze the data and see where the trends are, see where the gaps are, and start to make those interventions. So the first thing I would like you to sort of take away and maybe encourage careers leaders that are within your schools is this part here. And I'm just going to quickly touch on it. So we've got the plus button. I'm going to go into user management. Now, when careers leaders do this, all of the people that are on here are all of the different users that are on their demo or on their Compass Plus account. So all of the users have different capacities or roles. Admins would be the careers leader. Editors would be people like Sencos, pastoral support, curriculum teachers, reception, admin. And then viewers could be maybe people like yourself, governors, head teachers, Ofsted, people who just maybe want to go onto the product to see the progress that's been made, and maybe look at the visualizations and look at percentages and scores and tracking, etc., to really then again support careers leads where possible, and also hold certain members of staff to account if they've got a specific role to play within careers. So encouraging careers leaders to get as many people onto the system as possible that will happily support them within their role is really, really vital. So as governors, to encourage that would be a really great start. So that's in our little plus button over there. I'm just going to go back to our dashboard, okay? And the first part that I'm going to start at here is our visualization. So rather than even selecting anything on our navigation bar, I'm just going to show you this visualization here. So at a glance, if this was your school that you are a governor at, this information that's in front of you now is as per your school's last Compass evaluation, whether that was yesterday, last week, last term. This information in front of us is how they are tracking against all of those 8 Gatsby benchmarks. So all of those fundamentals of careers provision that we as a school or you as a school need to achieve is in front of you now. And it gives you the visualization of how you are tracking in terms of percentages towards achieving that. So straight away, this is where I mentioned earlier, it can allow schools to be quite strategic in terms of where they adopt their time and their resource to try and progress the benchmarks along. This straight away can be printable. So if I just click generate report here to the right hand side, this can be then downloaded as a PDF, and the careers leads can share that with SLT. The careers lead can share that with head teachers, with yourselves as governors, just to be supportive and really keep careers high on the agenda in those meetings, in those conversations that happen at a more senior level. So that is our first sort of visualization. Now, another thing that a careers lead can do, and again can support, and you could support with this as well, is we can compare this result, this evaluation result, with previous ones. And again, from a governor's perspective, you might sort of want to see what progress is being made. And again, it can allow you to maybe support in certain areas, or certainly start to pin people down to certain areas within curriculum and hold people to account. And where careers leaders can do that is in this section here. So these are in this drop-down box. These are all of the previous compass evaluations that your school or institution has carried out. Now, if I just click on one of the previous ones, what Compass Plus will do, it does two things really. One, it maps in where the previous result was. So from a visualization, you can see the progress that's been made within your institution. We've got our indicator bar here to say whether we've increased within this particular benchmark, whether we've stayed the same, or whether, which is actually possible, we've gone back over. Now, for benchmark 7, which is encounters with further and higher education, we were at I can't remember what that percentage was, a high percentage. We were at 45%, sorry, and we're now at 41. That may be that an event has been cancelled, or an activity has been cancelled, or a visit's been cancelled, and so therefore it's now been taken out of our activities and plans, and so that has gone down. But similarly, you can see where progress is being made. And again, this is something that can be talked about in senior leadership conversations, in governing body conversations, that the progress is being made, but it can also highlight that there's still work to be done. And again, this report can be printed out as well. So very much like the last one, but this time it represents the information and the data from a comparison perspective. What we can also do is we can, or you can, ask to see if your careers leader has input new activities since this compass evaluation here. You can ask to see sort of what the progress would be at the next evaluation. So if some of the activities have been input into the plan, then we can see what they look like. We can also see if activities have been input and they've been completed, what that might look like as well. So if we just click into this drop down box, and if I click on completed activities, Compass Plus will let me know, okay, so at the next time we run an evaluation, we've input some new activities and events. Some of these have been completed, and what we've done is benchmark 3 is going to move on by a further 18%. So that's great. Now, there may be other activities that are planned to take place but haven't at the moment. And where you can see that progress is in planned activities. So what this visualization is saying is that if everything goes ahead that's in our activities plan, and all things, in an ideal world, everything takes place, when we run our evaluation, this is what it will look like at the end of the year. So again, allowing careers leaders to be strategic with their planning and their sort of deploying resource and time, etc., into their careers activities. Like I mentioned before as well, this one can be printed. So all of these reports are printable, and these can be really helpful to yourselves as governors to see that progress, but also then to support conversations around having that shared responsibility within schools around careers. Now, where we complete, or where careers leaders complete the evaluations, is on the navigation bar here in the Compass evaluation section. So I'm just going to click onto that. And what Compass Plus will do, it will take me to my Compass evaluation page in a moment, which looks like this. I can start a new evaluation here, which is something that we do termly. And again, this can be done at any point in the term. Some schools like to do it at the start and then they use it as a planning tool. Others do it at the end and use it as a bit of a reflection tool. There's no set in stone approach to completing the evaluation. But something I just want to draw your attention to is, and this is certainly something that you could ask to see as governors, is this is at the top here, this is the most recent Compass evaluation that your school has completed. So if I just click into Plus and then click to view results, what Compass Plus does is it gives us all of the information here on all of the 8 different Gatsby benchmarks, okay? But what it now can allow you to do, and this is the part that may be advisable for yourselves, is we can really drill down into the specifics of how we are working towards our benchmark 5, for example. So if I just clicked on show details, Compass Plus will let us see sort of what that sub criteria within benchmark 5 is and how we are progressing towards it. Excuse me. So what we can see here is benchmark 5 is around encounters with employees and employees. So we need to make sure that our learners are having meaningful interactions with employers and businesses. And what we can see here is that this is in progress. So what this information here can allow you as governors to do is that you can start to ask the careers leader on how this is developing. So it allows you the opportunity to explore a little bit further. So benchmark 5, we're only at 75% at the moment. It says that we're in progress. A great question for yourselves to ask the careers leader is, what are you doing about this? And it's really starting to, support the careers leader in focusing in on the areas that need to be looked at, and then just from the answers, whatever the careers lead provide, to then try and provide that support, whether that is going higher to try and leverage more resource, more time, whatever it may be. It may be that you have networks and contacts that you can certainly put in front of the careers leader, but it allows that conversation to start happening as a result of the data that we have then got in front of us. Having this data as well from a careers leader point of view is great to then start creating activities, because again, if we just looked at benchmark 3, we can look at this and see where we need to work on as a school. So we need to raise aspirations of all our students. So we could start to, or your school could start to create an event or an activity that does just that. It may be that, the careers lead within your school or your institution brings in some alumni, so brings in some previous learners to do some little talk and start to raise those aspirations of our learners. But that is the competency evaluation, and where you can really drill down into the specifics, start to hold careers leaders and other senior members to account so that we can really drive forward. And if I just go back to the dashboard, we can then start to, we had benchmark 5, we can start to move that percentage and that achievement towards benchmark 5, towards that 100%. Okay, so the next part that I'm going to show you is the internal leadership review. So I mentioned that in the slides there previous, and this is like I mentioned before, it's a self-reflection that is carried out not by just one person within an institution. It should be carried out by all those people that are involved in careers within particular schools and institutions. And the support with it is in these 3 sections here. So the first one is guidance around how to complete it. Second one is what the maturity model actually looks like. And the third one is where the careers lead, or whoever it is, the admin support, is inputs that data and information. Now, I'll just quickly go through the essential guidance for you. The first section on this guidance, and again, this is something that you could ask to sit down with a careers leader and get them to sort of talk through this with you, is the sort of the why you should be doing an internal leadership review. The next, I mentioned before, the internal leadership review, the maturity model is based around 6 themes. So these are our 6 themes here. All of these 6 themes are then also mapped against the Gatsby benchmark. So we can see that alignment between how we can achieve these themes and in terms of maturity, and how that would reflect in achievement of the benchmarks. We've got the maturity models down here. And then the important part you'll notice here is who should be involved. So we've got governors in here, those people that certainly can be our strategic friends, let's call it, from a school perspective, that you can be involved in this. And then you can really pose poignant questions when the reflection's taking place. So this is a really, really valuable tool to assess where your school is in terms of careers provision and also careers leadership. We've got a couple of case studies here as to how you may carry out the internal leadership review. So it may be that everybody gets a copy of it, everybody scores, and then they convene and then start that negotiation process to see where we fit within the maturity model. And then we've got some resources down here to support with that as well. Now, what the maturity model looks like is in this section. So I mentioned before, we've got the 6 themes. So this is theme 1. We've got theme 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Within each of the themes, you've got these statements down the left-hand side. So you would read these, and then as individuals, as pairs, as trios, however you do it within your school, you would then start to look at these maturity model descriptors and see where your school fits within these. And then what this does is, from the left to the right, it increases in maturity and when we say maturity is that sort of that fully embedding of careers and careers leadership into your institutions, and then you score yourself accordingly, and then that information gets input into Compass and Compass Plus. So what the results can then look like, and I will just quickly touch on this, is down below here. And this again is something that will be really great to go through with your careers leads in your schools. So if I just click responses, these are, from my demo account, all of the responses that I have input into Compass Plus based on that maturity model and those 6 themes. And what Compass Plus allows you to do, it allows you to focus on priority action areas, so areas that you need to develop. So again, being quite strategic with your action planning and your development plans, but it also allows you to focus on your areas of strength. So this is where I mentioned earlier about really, showcasing and endorsing all the fabulous work that does take place in schools and institutions, but probably gets overlooked. So that is our evaluations and our internal leadership review. We've got our activities here, and within our activities, if I just show you about creating your activity, we've got 2 sections. We've got benchmark 1, which is the recording of statutory aspects of careers and the information. So a really great tool to have here is if we create activity, we've got all of these questions down the side here, and then we've got the careers lead. It could be sat with yourself as a governor. We've got timescales by which we want to achieve this. Now, the good thing about having yourselves involved in something like this is that you can then, in your meetings with careers leaders, senior leadership team, is you can revisit these and say, how are we getting on with this particular area of benchmark 1 that we said we're going to allocate enough resources to careers program? Is that in place? Is it achieved? If it isn't, why not? And it allows you to have those conversations to really drive forward careers within your schools and your institutions. So benchmark 1 is such a fabulous place to start, certainly from your perspective, that you can provide that support to the careers lead and then moving things forward within your particular institutions. Okay, I'm just going to what I will do, I'm going to show you future skills questionnaire. I've got some information on the slide deck, but I'll refer back to that. So the next section that I wanted to show you is the future skills questionnaire. Okay, and for those that are new to it, where we find it is in the learner section here and then into questionnaire. And in here, careers leads within your institutions will create individual links for all of the learners within particular year groups, if that's the way that they want to roll out the questionnaire. All of the questionnaires are relevant to learners in those specific year groups. So we've got all the different key stages. So we've got start and secondary, then we've got transition to key stage 3 for years 8 and 9, to GCSE years for 10 and 11. And then if there are 6 forms attached, we've got 12 and 13 as well. Now, it's very quick and simple to do once careers leads get used to doing this. It's a case of selecting the year group that they want to generate links for. They then click on generate new links. They can then select this here to send links out to the learners. They could select all the learners for year 8, scroll down to the bottom, click this button here, and the careers leader could generate 102 links for the learners within the school and send them out to them. The learners would then complete the questionnaire, and this is all around that gathering of authentic learner voice, and it allows the careers leader to really directly respond to individuals who are needing that help and support to move them forward and to give them enough information so that when they do leave, they are making informed decisions around their next steps and their pathways. And the way that the information does that, and this is something again that we would like you as governors to really support with, are you rolling it out? Do you have a plan for how you are going to roll out future skills questionnaire? Because once it's done, the reporting functions are across the top here. Now, the summary report from a careers leader perspective looks like this. So this is the data and information from all of the different year groups within my demo account that have completed the questionnaire. At the moment, I have my start and secondary, so this is my year 7s, and then I have transition key stage 3, so 8 and 9, 10 and 11, and then 12 and 13. Now, what I can see here is the progressive increase in the way that learners are answering questions in a positive manner. So it's gone from 35% all the way through to 71. So that's a good indication that things are happening within your careers, in your institution, your school, and that activities and events are starting to have an impact with your learners. But what we can do is, at the moment, the information, the data is a little bit sort of skewed. We've got negatives and positives. What a careers leader can do is they can filter onto positive responses. And that what they've then got is all of the questions that the learners in year seven have answered in a really positive manner at the top, and all of the negative ones are at the bottom. So what that allows the careers leader to do is to focus in on the areas of development, and those key areas that learners are saying they've got little to no knowledge in or little to no understanding in, and allow the careers leader to start making those interventions, making those changes to meet the needs of the learners. So this is quite a high level view of that data and information. But where we can go a step further, or where a careers leader can go a step further, is in the detailed report. So if I select the detailed report, I'm just going to leave us on the year seven questionnaire. So what the careers leader has got here is that 105 learners in the year seven have completed the questionnaire. That represents 95% of the whole year group. So it's a good representation in terms of data. We've got 35% of the questions are being answered in a positive manner. But where we can start to look at that data is here. So in this bar chart here, these three sections here add up to this 105. So I've got 7 learners that are answering in a really, really positive manner. I've got 58 learners that are answering questions in a bit of a mixed manner, where there's some saying that they've got some good knowledge, some that they're saying a little bit hazy. But we've got these learners here. We've got these 40 learners that are answering less than a third of the questions in a positive manner. So as there are 17 questions, that means they are answering quite a lot of questions negatively. Now, in year seven, that might not be too much of an issue. It might be something that you expect because they're new into careers. But where we can find out who those learners are is if the careers leader just selects that bar chart there, it gives them a breakdown of all the boys and all the girls within year seven that are answering questions in a very negative manner. Now, it may be that 40 is too large of a number to start really putting custom groups together. But if there are any curveballs in here in terms of, I didn't expect that from this particular learner, it allows the careers leader to have those conversations with that learner. And again, this is something that as governors, you could ask to see the data on, you could ask to see how they are supporting particular learners that are answering questions in a negative manner, and how are we, excuse me, how are we having an impact with our learners to really move them forward in terms of their knowledge and understanding of careers and pathways. So that's the left-hand bar chart. The right-hand side here, this allows us to filter on our the low scoring questions, so you can address the needs for the learners answering questions in a really low manner. We can look at certain groups. So we could look at how the boys and the girls are answering. Interesting, we could look at pupil premium status. And what you could then do, or what careers leader could do, is you could look to see is there any link between how this particular characteristic, how they are either engaged or disengaged with careers, is that something that is representative of the environment that that particular learner's finding themselves in? And what the careers lead would be doing is they would be looking to see where the no's outweigh the yeses. So this is where the learners are then saying, no, I've got very little or no knowledge in these particular areas, and start to really factor in on it. So for example, question 17, do you feel optimistic when you think about your future career? If this pupil premium learner is in an environment where their home life doesn't support that, what careers leaders can do is click on that bar chart. They can click on the no not yet, and what Compass Plus will do now, it will give them a breakdown of who these learners are that are saying categorically no, they don't feel optimistic. Now this is where careers leaders can start to create custom groups, and they can then start to provide specific interventions and targeted approach to supporting these learners, and how they can move that forward and address the needs of those learners. So the Future Skills Questionnaire is such a powerful tool. Again, like I mentioned before, it's data driven, and it is something that as a governor, we would like you to support the rollout of this within institutions, and really encouraging careers leaders to do that. That might mean that careers leaders need help and support from elsewhere within the schools and the institutions, but the data and the information that the careers leader can get back that can allow them to perform targeted questioning and targeted interventions is so really key. So Future Skills Questionnaire is such a brilliant tool. I'm just going to jump back into the slide deck. And this is now really just a kind of recap of what I've just covered there. So the Future Skills Questionnaire, like I've just mentioned, it is a careers readiness tool. It is a careers leader's tool to measure the careers readiness based on the questions that the learners are answering about their time at your particular schools and institutions. It looks at these particular areas here, their skills and their attitudes, and it is designed to help with successful transitions. Within the Future Skills Questionnaire themselves, there are different questionnaires. So we've got in the orange or the amber here, the mainstream curriculum questionnaires. So within these questionnaires, the learners will answer two sets of questions, which are based on careers, knowledge, and skills, and then the essential skills for life and work. And these ones here are mapped against these sections at the bottom, which is the Skills Builder framework. The SEND version, if your particular school has SEND learners in there, that is separate because it stays the same. Where these questionnaires change slightly as the learner moves through their time in careers at your school, the questions become slightly nuanced and specific to that particular time. The SEND version stays the same. It doesn't change. And this is also designed to be held as part of a one-to-one conversation with the SEND learners. So the SEND learners would do these questionnaires with support. The mainstream curriculum learners would do them on an individual basis. The value of it, so I kind of mentioned there before, it allows the careers leader, and this is the beauty of really supporting careers leads to roll the FSQ out, is it allows them to respond directly to learner voice. So getting that data and information so that they can work on that by hopefully then preventing and identifying learners that may be at risk of becoming NEET. If there is the option to be able to do it each year within your particular settings, then you can see that progress of learners throughout time, but certainly to try and do it in year 7, 9, and 11, those really key areas. And then these two fit together where the data and the information can allow careers leaders to identify trends and gaps in provision. And then from that, they can create and tailor specific activities to specific individual learner needs. So just coming towards the end of the session now, and just this slide here is really things for you to consider. And I'm not going to read all of these out verbatim, but just questions that as a governor would be great for you to consider and to take away to really start asking the questions within your institution. So for number one there, is careers overseen by a member of SLT, and do they have direct regular access to the governing body that reports into relevant subcommittees? So is careers is it tasked to a specific member of SLT so that they can then again keep careers high on those agendas, high in those conversations when they're in senior meetings, and really keep careers moving forward within particular institutions. Down here, does your careers leader receive support and challenge from named careers linked governors? So are you holding careers leaders to account if they are saying that they're going to put certain things in place, if they're going to roll out things like the FSQ? Have they done it? If not, why not? So these are just all questions that you can pose moving forward and things to consider. Couple of top tips for yourselves now. So top tips for career for governors, sorry. Has the careers leader completed the careers leader training? So there is some free or supported careers leader training that is accessible through the CEC, and that is fully funded, and it's designed to help careers leaders keep on top of their game, for want of a better word, allowing them to be the best careers leader within their role that they can possibly be. Again, I'm not going to read all of these out. So top tips are going to support the use of learner voice, or FSQ. So like I was just saying there, can you support careers leader in rolling out the Future Skills Questionnaire, overcoming any obstacles or barriers that may be in place within your school or your institution, and trying to really emphasize and drive forward the importance of completing the FSQ based on the information and data that you get back from it, and how that data and information can really provide that targeted support and hopefully prevent and identify any learners that may be at risk of becoming NEET. More top tips to champion careers at every opportunity, every meeting, every interaction to really drive forward the importance of careers and how having the best interest of our learners at heart stems very much from careers as well. I was always taught that every teacher a college or a school is a teacher of careers, and really supporting that throughout all the conversations that take place. So just again, I'm not going to read them all. You will get a copy of this with just some top tips to take away for yourselves. Okay, so resource and training. So I mentioned at the start, we always leave time to look through resources and training for governors, and we've got a few different areas here. So we've got some free online training for governors and an introduction to careers. So we can click on that, and it will take us to a link within the CEC website. And this link again just highlights how CEC can support how you can support school governors. So the things that we can do, the things that you can then take part in to help you within your role. Again, depending on whether you're quite new to it or whether you've been in it for quite a while, but how we can support you and the things that you can do within your role. The second one is a newsletter. So this is again a really great one to sign up to. And it just says like here, it allows you to receive the latest developments and policy considerations. So as a governor, it keeps you up to date with all of your requirements that you should be carrying out within your role within your particular school and institution, and giving you that support as well. We've got some more resources there for governors. Again, if I just clicked on that, so it's the sort of online training modules, again, allowing you to fully understand the roles and requirements that are expected of yourselves. And then we've got our Compass Plus Help Center. And again, if we take you to this, there are lots of articles here that, again, you could become familiar with. It's all around Compass Plus, the training, the different developments that are taking place within product. But maybe this could be an opportunity to ask questions to careers leaders within your institutions around, are you aware of the newest developments? Are you aware of how you can find future skills questionnaire? Starting to ask those questions based on having this information in front of you as well. Okay, so just going to turn my video back on, my camera back on there. That brings us to the end of today's session. Now, if you're still on the call, the webinar at the moment, if I could get you to access the QR code and leave any feedback from today's session, we really value your feedback when we run these particular webinars. It allows us to either change things where you feel certain things may not have been covered that you may have liked, and we certainly take that on board and we'll action it. And similarly, on the flip side of that, if today's session has delivered what you were hoping, you've got a better understanding of how you can support careers leaders within your institutions, how you can understand your role better as a governor within your particular institution, and it's achieved what we wanted to, then to leave that feedback as well. It's always great to know where we are doing the right things because it allows us to replicate that moving forward. And also, we understand that time is not always a luxury that you have, you may have multiple roles. So when you do come on these sessions, we want to make sure that you get the most from them, and your feedback really helps us with that. So hopefully, those learning objectives that we went through at the start around you understanding the functionality of Compass Plus, where a careers leader can access certain areas to really support careers within your schools, and how you can then support with that as well by holding those conversations high in careers meetings and in senior leadership meetings, but then also how you can hold people to account to really move things along. So just to finish off, Tamid, are there any outstanding questions just before we close?
Pete, none on my end, no. Thank you.
All right, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for your support today, Tamid. Much appreciated. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you really found that useful, and there's quite a few takeaways. You will get a copy of the recording in the post-session comms. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us today, and hope to see you on a webinar soon. Thanks now. Bye-bye.